You gave up a TV job to start a podcast in your basement. If that doesn't scream midlife crisis, I don't know what does.
It was Championship Sunday here in Indianapolis. What's the mindset then coming in as a defending champion?
I want to win. No, I want to win.
The young lady over my shoulder, Caitlin Clark.
Not the best looking guy. And I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say, Matt Randazzo was really good looking.
What has this last month, 2 months, 3 months been like for you? It's an important fan base for the Fighting Illini, is it not?
It is.
He turned 69 years young last week. You look good, Coach.
Oh, try it. Thank you.
Welcome to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Thursday in the Quad Cities. Thursday, January 15th. Thank you guys so much for joining us as we work our way through the work week. It is Thursday. Friday is right around the corner. Another fantastic weekend of sports ahead of us coming up this weekend. We'll get you set for all that. Look back at last night. A lot to get to on today's show. So thanks for taking the time on your Thursday to join us here on Off the Air. If you're watching us on YouTube, thank you for doing that. We appreciate it. If you've subscribed, thank you. If you've not subscribed, please do so ASAP and then tell about a million friends about what we're doing each and every day right here in the Quad Cities. It's been a bunch of fun. Over a year doing this. Last week we were at Godfather's, and Andy Furman, the owner of Godfather's, came up and showed me that like he had spent 13 days, 11 hours, and whatever minutes listening to this show or watching this show the last year, which is wild. But we've done a lot of content over the last year. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it, and we're going to continue to do it starting today with another great lineup. We're also live on X. X has been very, very good to us. So if you're on X and you want to reach out, we love all of that kind of stuff. The feedback is great. X, the chat on YouTube is always lively as well. So make sure you're also being interactive with the show as well. We're also on all the podcasting platforms as well. So Podbean, Spotify, Apple, iHeart, wherever you get your podcasts, go ahead and put in Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Give us a listen if you're at the gym, you're heading to school, to work, home from work, all of those kind of things. I listen to a ton of podcasts. So on the audio side of things, make sure you're doing that for Off the Air as well. And then also welcome to our viewers in Central Iowa. We're on every weekday night at 7 p.m. on the WHO streaming app. We've loved it. We've gotten some great feedback from viewers in that area as well. So thank you guys for listening and watching all over, wherever you're watching this silly little show of mine. Thank you for doing that as well. It's been a busy week. Monday, we had Tom Kakert, John Bonenkamp, Jim Matson, John Marks. It was fun on Monday. Tuesday, maybe my favorite show of the week, Casey Kreider, Angelo Jackson, former Assumption standout, who's currently a cornerback at Iowa State and staying at Iowa State. Great perspective from him. And then also Kyle Huseman, who is out of Twitter prison or ex-prison, whatever you'd want to call that. Had his account locked. He's back ready to rock, all those kind of fun things. So we had him on the show on Tuesday. Wednesday, yesterday's show was a lot of fun as well. Scott Docterman, really good stuff when it comes to the transfer portal, what Iowa's been doing, some of what Illinois has been doing, college football championship game coming up on Monday, the Bears as well. I could have spent 2 hours with Doc, and he was gracious enough to give me probably longer than he expected. I think it was about 30, 40 minutes. So go check out Scott Docterman yesterday. Jake Brenda, always great with the Cyclones on a Wednesday, and Bobby Metcalf talking Bears. And what we did with Bobby was we took the game against the Packers on Saturday and said, okay, how does this compare to all of these Chicago sports moments? And he had to pick one or the other. Very intriguing, very interesting on where's Bear fans see this. I think a lot of them have moved on and said, okay, now we're ready for more. And that starts on Sunday. The Rams come to town, 5:30 start, Soldier Field. We'll get you a weather report on that game during this show as well with a guy who knows his weather. So let's get you this the lineup for today. Coming up in a matter of moments, we'll have the Bear Cage, Nicholas Baer, talking Iowa basketball. The Hawkeyes come up just short of an impressive victory at Purdue. They lose 79-72. We'll recap that in a second, but the Bear Cage will break it all down with us, and I'm cranky this morning with Big Ten officials, and I'm not normally like that. I don't like being that guy. It was awful last night, in my opinion. But the Iowa defense wasn't very good in the second half either. So that's probably a big reason for the loss as well. So Bear Cage coming up in a matter of moments. Also, the biggest Indiana fan I know is getting ready for the championship game on Monday. And I had to have him on the show. It just so happens it's a guy that I worked with for years at WQAD and is one of the best to ever do it when it comes to weather. My good friend James Zahara is going to slum it and come hang out with me for a little bit and talk about the Hoosiers and the Bears forecast for this week. And we got some fun questions for him as well. So James Zahara, what just an amazing human being, will join us coming up later on in hour number 1 of the show. And then hour number 2, the best team in the MAC right now for the girls, Central DeWitt once again. They're halfway through the season. They're unbeaten. They've gone to Pleasant Valley and won. They beat Bettendorf this past weekend. They beat Rock Island in the shootout. They're doing all this after having replaced Lauren Walker, who graduated last year. But Ava Putnam is one of the best players in the MAC, and they're loaded. They're talented. Their head coach. They're doing all of this despite their head coach, Ron O'Brien, really good guy as well. Going to join me in hour number 2 of the show as well. So a lot to get to on today's show. Coming up tomorrow, I'll tell you about tomorrow at the end of the show. But let's talk about a few things in the world of sports before we get to our guests today in the Bear Cage right around the corner. Iowa does lose 79-72. They fall to 2-4 in the Big Ten, with a road trip to Indiana up next. So things get pretty important after this. They led by as many as 9 in the second half. They went on a 10-0 run with about 14 minutes to go. They took a 9-point lead, and then like that, it was back tied. The officiating was yuck, in my opinion. We'll get to that in a second, but Bennett Sturt's dealing with foul problems once again. Got 2 fouls in the first 4 minutes of the game, but played a lot. I think he played 37 minutes, scored 19 points. Wasn't his best game, but he was good. The supporting cast continues to play well. Really good night for Cale Combs yesterday. several players stepping up and playing well, so didn't quite get the job done. Also last night, it was a great triple header of Big Ten basketball if you had nothing to do. The Illini win at Northwestern. They hadn't won there in 4 trips, I think, and they win 79-68. Tommy Isevich was really good. He had 21 points, 4 3-pointers for the 7'1" player. So really, when you're shooting it like that from the outside, 7 rebounds. But when you're that size and you can shoot it, he played well. Keaton Wagler again continues to impress. 22 points. The Illini win again. They're 14-3, 5-1 in the Big Ten. They got a game with Minnesota, I think, at home. But right around the corner is Purdue, and that's going to be a fantastic matchup because as long as Illinois was, and I saw that firsthand at Carver Hawkeye on Sunday, Purdue's the same, especially with those bigs they have. So it will be a really good game as well. So Illinois gets that victory locally, college basketball-wise. Jordan Delp and company get the job done at home. They come back and win last night in a big CCIW battle, 98-93. Cam Atkinson, former Rock Island standout, had 24. Jake Willems had 18. He's a former Riverdale standout. So they get to 3-3 in conference play. They've been tested a lot early and have some really marquee victories. And now they get to even water in league play. Excited to see where this Augustana basketball team can go to in the next month or 6 weeks of the season. So that'll be fun to watch. NFL wise, it looks like John Harbaugh is going to be the next coach in New York with the Giants. I was going to actually check because as things go, usually like something changes as we're watching and doing things. So we'll check out and see if anything else has changed, but not a done deal, but they're finalizing the deal right now. So new head coach John Harbaugh in New York with the Giants. So we're not here to talk about the NFL and the Giants. We'll talk Bears a little bit later on, but we're going to start our show today talking Hawks with a very familiar face right here in the Quad Cities. So let's talk all about this Iowa loss, unfortunately, with our good friend, the Bear Cage, Nicholas Baer. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. Always a pleasure coming on off there with Matt Randazzo. So always a pleasure.
I'm enjoying this because sometimes we preview it and then sometimes we like break it down afterwards. And I'm glad I like breaking it down afterwards better because I'm fiery today. I was fired up last night and I shouldn't be, but there's so many different things about that game that they're frustrating or to get to and all that kind of stuff. Before we get into the details of things, to go on the road at that place, 5th ranked team in the country, very good team, and as you can attest to, a tough place to play, and to at least compete and be that close. What's the headline that you take from last night's game if you're an Iowa fan?
You know, it's interesting. I was talking with a few of my buddies. I actually feel better about this Iowa team after this game than I would have. If you told me we lost, I would have obviously not felt ideal, but like I actually kind of watched that performance. I felt a little bit better. Like you're going into Mackey, top 5 team on the road. I think there was some point where one of the sideline reporters mentioned that Ben McCall told his team, like, hey, you got to be pretty much prepared to be down 10, which was my experience in a Mackey arena in general. But then you tack on kind of some of the rougher officiating calls that were experienced as well. And it really felt like you got to be down like 15 or so, which I know we'll get into a little bit. But I think I was really impressed with how Cale Combs, Maniau, Tavian Banks really stepped up and had some big time minutes and performed really well. I think the kind of headline that I looked at in that second half was just not getting enough stops. The second half, I think Purdue shot like 73% or so, which that's really tough to hold on to a lead or come back if that's the case. So still feel like I'm pretty good about this Iowa team, but yeah, it feels like the headline is like so close yet again. That seems like kind of the theme a little bit.
It feels like and when it comes to signature victories, and I think UCLA is a really good victory, but when it comes to a signature victory like that, they're close and they're going to get opportunities. And I think once they get one, I think they might be able to stockpile a few of them after that. I don't want to bury the lead. I got a lot of bunch of stuff to talk about when it comes to Bennett Sturt's foul problems early and all those kind of things. But everybody's talking about the referees. I thought it was bad, and I'm not a referee guy. Like I'm good friends with Don Umland. I love referees in our area. I'm usually defending referees. But I think part of it is because I don't think Iowa fans feel like they're getting the home whistle at home. And then that makes it even crankier when they go on the road and get that. I guess your thoughts of the officiating in general, and then we might pick a few plays that I don't understand as well.
Yeah, I think anytime you go on the road in the Big Ten, you know you're not going to get a good whistle. Like, that's pretty much something you kind of have to expect. I think there were a few instances in the second half in particular where it felt like some of the officiating really swayed the game. I've never seen a guy just get his legs cut out and tackled on the sideline and then just like essentially be called for travel or out of bounds. Like, that was kind of my experience within the game of basketball. But I think in one sense you kind of have to understand that maybe that's going to detract from the game, but also around the Big Ten sometimes that happens, and how can you kind of overcome it? And that's going to be a tough challenge in Mackey against a top 5 team for sure. But Matt, I know you've been kind of the board. I know you mentioned earlier you're kind of like the referee guy a little bit. You're the officiating czar, so to speak. Give us your take, my friend.
I don't like to be that guy. I don't. I mean, the first thing I do when I hear people complain about refereeing on social media, I roll my eyes. But last night was just, I don't understand how that, and I'm older than you, but like, you remember old school Big Ten basketball, and even you played in a tougher period than this. Like, that's a double technical foul when two guys just want the basketball and they kind of grab at it a little bit, and then that to me was mind-boggling. And then it wasn't a technical on you got to help me with his name, Ren Hoffman.
Ren.
Yeah, because they gave the technical to another guy that came over and like tapped him or something like that. That would have been his third technical foul, or third foul if it was on him. I just thought that was weak. But the second half, you mentioned the Bennett Sturts getting his legs taken out, going for a ball. I think his 3 that he made, in which he fell down because he didn't have a landing zone, was a foul. The biggest one to me was Cale Combs drives, gets destroyed at the rim. Now, mind you, they got the block up top, but just got destroyed. And then in a hustle to go get the basketball, Cooper gets called for a foul and they go the other way. I thought those 3 were game changing in my opinion.
I think those are the critical ones. What I saw too was, and I feel like most of the times, like, you kind of each game and officiating is gonna be a little bit different. I think what a lot of players and coaches just want is kind of like for it to be consistent throughout. Like, if we're calling touchy fouls, then okay, like we're calling touchy fouls this game, and like we can adjust in the second half. We're gonna adjust late game. But if it's, hey, we're gonna let the guys play, then let's not call a foul when a guy's trying to just shepherd the ball out of bounds to keep the ball. Like Cooper was trying to do. So I think looking at that, I think there was a couple touch fouls that maybe they called on the Purdue end that kind of let play on the Iowa offensive end, which is, I think, the main source of frustration probably.
It's been an issue for Iowa this season, and I think, and I texted some friends last night. I'm like, Mount Fran would have exploded by now, and I'm not blaming Ben or anything like that. And they came back from a break, I think, last night, and they said, Ben McCullum spent the entire break working the officials, and it was like the way I'm talking to you right now is he just had a conversation. Is there anything to that? You played for Fran. I don't know if Fran would have lasted one of the last 2 games. I thought the Illinois game was bad too. I thought this game was worse, but it's on the road, so you kind of expect it, and it's Big Ten basketball. Is there anything to Ben getting used to, Coach McCullum getting used to the NFL, or excuse me, the Big Ten and their referees, his persona, his maybe laid back a little more than Fran? Do you see anything with that when it comes to personalities and getting his footing in the Big Ten?
Yeah, I mean, I can't necessarily attest like what Coach McCollum's like, or kind of what his experience has been so far. I will say, I know when I was playing with Coach McCaffrey, one of his kind of thoughts was, obviously, for those who know, very fiery, very much, very animated, let the referees hear it. So one of the things that I think, because I know not everyone's a big fan of that necessarily, but what you didn't necessarily see was kind of the outcomes of getting some of those calls. Like, yeah, he's going to blow up against, an official, it might get a technical for sure. But then if you watch like the next 6 minutes, like, we're probably getting some calls. Like, we're getting the free throw line. Like, we're in the double bonus. And I think that, well, yes, you're getting up 2 points for the tech, but like, what are you getting on the back end after like the effect of that? And I think the main thing too is like, these officials, they're human beings. Like, they're going to be impacted if every time you're coming down, like, you're letting them know you're not happy about a certain call type of thing. So I know Coach Cullum has a different style, and I think part of that is also getting a chance to kind of know some of the referees too. I mean, Coach McCaffrey's in the league for I think like 15, 16 years, like knows all these guys, and for a lot of times in these first few games, like probably Coach McCollum's first time getting a chance to have these guys as referees. So it's also kind of it sounds like building a relationship with these guys too, and I think you just got to give Coach McCollum a little bit of time with that too. So we'll see.
It was the fourth game in a row, I believe, that Bennett Sturtz got 2 fouls early, and this one was – and it's funny because we talked to him after the Illinois game, and he mentioned he's got to get better at that, he's got to prevent that, and then it was 4 minutes in, and he had 2 fouls. Is there anything to that? And I know you go from a head coach with Fran that if you got 2 fouls, you weren't playing until the second half. I don't think the Hawkeyes could do that last night with Bennett Sturtz and this team. Is there anything to like the early fouls with Bennett Sturtz, and does he have to make an adjustment? Is it just unfortunate? What have you seen maybe these last 4 games?
Well, I would say in my experience, I was much less valuable to my team than Bennett Sturtz was to this team. So I went in reckless abandon, like 2 fouls, big deal. Like I got 5, I might as well use them. But yeah. I think in this experience, what it might be a little bit different is I think teams are hunting Bennett Sturtz early. I think they know if they can kind of get Sturtz in foul trouble, what does that open up for this Iowa team potentially? But I think a little bit more fortunate at some point, but I think also there's a couple like ticky-tacky ones where maybe like, hey, you gotta stay out of foul trouble, get your hands out of there. Maybe you're not getting that steal, but you're also not getting that foul call. So I think a little bit bits and pieces, but I'd also say the couple minutes that I thought that I think Bennett Sturtz played like 37 minutes still, regardless. So I think the larger thing that I was impressed with too was the offense looked a bit smoother. Like I know they're trying to run through Bennett Sturtz still, but there seemed to be a bit more action, a bit more off the ball movement in this game, which I was kind of happy to see, and it seemed like a pretty big adjustment from some of the past couple games as well.
Nicholas Baer joining us right now and Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. You mentioned the fact that they got up and they didn't get any defense in the second half. The defense wasn't very good. They got up 9. And that's one thing that I've talked to friends about is, and this is no disrespect to Fran or Fran's teams, but sometimes Iowa would build big leads, and just the way and style that they play, you would blink and Iowa would be like, okay, we're up 15. Oh man, now it's 5. How did that happen? And I didn't expect that with Ben McCollum teams because of pace of play, because of the defensive end. But there we were last night. It got to 9, quick timeout, and it was back to 3, I think, in 3 trips. Kind of talk about that maybe disappointment. And if Iowa has anything, and we could talk about referees, and we may a little bit more because I'm so cranky, the defensive end is the reason Iowa lost that game last night, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that first half, but if you told me before the game, hey, we're only going to get out-rebounded by 3 and we're going to knock down 12 threes, I think we're probably winning that game most of the time, right? So I think what happened in that second half was, Braden Smith just completely took over that game. And one of the things that was interesting was kind of looking at his shots. He got a couple at the rim, like a couple layups, like I think he had 1 in, 1. But outside of that, he was taking pretty tough contested pull-up 2s, which for the most part, you're like, hey, that's like a good shot for us to give up. But the thing is, he's an All-American. He's gonna knock those down. It's that kind of conundrum. Like that's a good shot for our defense to give up, but for Purdue, it's like that's a good shot for us. You know what I mean? So I think that was kind of my bigger takeaway, and just how he was able to kind of get everybody involved as well. So I think there was a stretch there in the second half where there was like 9 or 10 straight makes just going back and forth between both teams, and which makes for fun entertainment and fun TV and fun for us watching at home. But I think as it got down a little bit closer later, I think Purdue definitely had the better looks, which is tough to kind of, mount a comeback as well.
Last one on the referees. And you kind of mentioned being out there and knowing that in the Big Ten, you're not going to get calls on the road and all those kind of things. Here today, I've had texted friends and last night and everything else. You go to social media and they're opinionated. Did the referees cost Iowa a basketball game last night?
No, they did not. I don't think they helped us at all. I think that much is abundantly clear. I think, yes, there's definitely a few calls that go like the other way. It's gonna, might have a different outcome potentially, but I think when you give up a team shooting 73% in the second half, that's not necessarily all referees either. So yeah. I think there's bits and pieces to it. I definitely think if that officiating's, a few calls go a different way potentially, but that's one thing I always looked at whenever I was playing. I thought we had like a tough whistle and a loss. It's like, yeah, hey, a few things definitely didn't go our way, but like there's probably about 8 or 10 other plays involved in there that maybe like whether it's missed layups or defensive breakdowns that like could have changed the tide. And I think as a player, you never want to be like, oh well, the refs cost us. Like that's more of like an external locus of control versus internal locus of control. So
that is such a mature answer. Me, on the other hand, being immature.
Lay it on us, Matt.
Screw the refs. I'm still cranky about the referees and all that kind of stuff. Iowa goes to Indiana next. How important? I mean, they're 2-4 in conference play. It's a different conference. It's a bigger conference now. There's a lot of basketball left to be played. But 2-5 just doesn't sound good. And I got a one of my sons that when we left the Iowa Illinois game was like, Dad, we're not making the NCAA tournament. And I'm like, pump the brakes. It's January, whatever it was. A lot of basketball left to be played. But to his point, 2-5 means you have a lot of work to do. How important is this weekend's game? I know it's the next game. It's always important, all those kind of things. But your thoughts maybe early on what's to come at Indiana Saturday, I believe.
Yeah, a Saturday, 1 p.m., Assembly Hall. Like this is what the Big Ten's all about. Like get a chance to play in a big time game like this. Indiana coming off of 2 losses too as well. So like I mean this is kind of definitely a big game that they want. When I'm looking at this game, I've watched a fair amount of Indiana so far this year. Just they kind of played in some different games when I've been available, and I think the key Wilkerson's really good, and I think DeVries has been struggling a little bit here in the first few games of the Big Ten. So I think kind of limiting his comfortability and his touches I think is going to be critical. But I think Iowa wins this game. I think Iowa's the better team. That would be my assessment from this. But one thing I did want to mention, I know you mentioned like people concerned about making the tournament. After this game, I think 5 of the next 6 are against teams in the bottom 6 of the Big Ten. Like it's going to lighten up a little bit. I think the concern is more, if we don't get a chance to win in Bloomington, then it's likely not having an opportunity for a quad 1 win until mid-February. Yeah. Like I think that's a bit more of the concern potentially. But there's plenty of wins available in this season against quality opponents in the Big Ten, and I think this Iowa team's been playing pretty well. But I think this is a great opportunity for us to go in and get a win in Bloomington for sure.
As an Iowa fan and watching, obviously, when Fran left, we didn't know who was going to be the coach, and DeVries was talked about, and he was at Drake forever, and then he goes to Indiana and McCollum. Is there, as an Iowa fan for yourself, is there intrigue in that as well? Because it's almost like they're always going to be tied together. Isn't McCollum and DeVries how they do as Iowa fans? You're always going to watch and think which one was the right one and all that kind of stuff. That makes it an intriguing matchup as well, doesn't it?
A little bit, yeah. And it's interesting. One of my really good buddies, Brady Ellenson, played at Drake and played under DeVries. So he's been able to kind of share a little bit of insight with me on just his experience, and obviously he's rooting for them as well. So I think in a sense they always are, for sure. I think time will kind of tell how that goes necessarily, but yeah, I think a fun kind of storyline a little bit for both Iowa and Indiana fans a little bit here in this coaching matchup. But I know I mentioned like the quad 1 wins potentially earlier on. I remember as a player I didn't think about any of that stuff at all. Just like, okay, this is the next game, we got to win. Like, let's make sure we go out and do that if we can. And I know there's a lot of like, it's always interesting because I'll hop on Twitter and people will be like, well, our Ken Palm has changed like up 2 spots. We're like, hey, our like, efficiency rating, like the committee's going to love this. And it's like, I'm sure all that stuff is true in some wheelhouses, but also like, let's roll the balls out and let's get a win.
Tom Kakert's a big Ken Palm guy. He loves talking
right.
Ken Palm.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I love it. And I don't want to hate on Ken Palm. I think it's a good metric for sure, but it's also
I want to hate on Tom Kakert, not Ken Palm. Don't bring Tom.
I do.
I do.
Doing that anytime.
I love it. Did you watch a lot of college basketball last night? Did you watch the triple header, or did you have duties and all that kind of stuff to do?
I felt like I had the Illinois Northwestern game on, and I felt like every time I looked up from my phone, Ivisic was hitting a 3 from the top of the key. Like that's kind of how it felt. So I think that's. I mean, for me, anytime I can watch college basketball and have Big Ten basketball rolling, I'm gonna let it roll. So yeah, that was kind of my experience last night.
I know you're the Iowa guy, but I want to talk quickly about Illinois because you watched the Iowa-Illinois game and then you watched some last night. What are your thoughts on that team when it comes to – and I complained and I love the officiating in that game too because we talked before we went on. Either you like both teams complained, which I thought was crazy. But in general, like Illinois is a good basketball team. They're long. That's the one thing I think I realized being at Carver is how long of a basketball team they are. Your thoughts on the Illini? Ked Prince is probably listening, so make sure you be nice.
Good to know. I think they're one of the biggest teams in the nation, like in terms of, having multiple 7-footers that they can bring in and out. Wagler's really, really good. They have a guy who I think it's important in this age in college basketball. You kind of have a senior-laden veteran guy in Boswell who does a pretty good job running the show, getting people shots. So listen, man, they're going to be a tough out in March for sure. I think if they're going to be able to kind of continue, it felt like last year they almost shot themselves out of games, and I'm not seeing that as much this year. Like they're still like shooting a lot of threes, but it seems like at a bit of a better clip. So I think they're going to be a tough out. They have size. They can really compete at a high level here in the Big Ten. So pain to be said, I've been impressed with the Illini. I don't necessarily know what their schedule looks like over the next few games, but
it's pretty easy.
I think being ranked in the top 15 has been pretty impressive from what I've seen. What I'll say as well, like they really challenged themselves in the non-conference, like playing Alabama, I think they brought Tennessee, came to Champaign or another kind of top team as well. So it's interesting to kind of see that pay a little bit of dividend here.
Yeah, they played Alabama. They played Texas Tech. They played Missouri. They played Tennessee. They played UConn. I mean, and then I had someone on social media say to me, a friend of mine, like Iowa's non-con doesn't help them in games last night like that. And I would agree. But I would also say that I think they're going to change that. There's a transition. I'm not blaming Fran, but anytime you ever transition from coaches, it's always maybe a little bit of a scramble for that schedule to figure it out that first year or two before it gets kind of locked in and all those kind of things as well. If Iowa beats Indiana and you said they're gonna, give me the Bear Cage's keys to victory for a victory in Bloomington against Indiana, 1 p.m. on Saturday.
I think it's going to be pretty decisive, in my opinion. I think Iowa's a better team. I think it's probably going to be, if I had to guess a score line, I know Ked Prince and I were real close last time we did this. So I would say probably like 74-58 is kind of how I'm feeling going this game. More so because I think this Iowa team's going to do a pretty good job defensively of really stymieing this Indiana offense. From what I've seen from them so far, it seems pretty like dependent on two guys to get going. If you turn one of their faucets off, then it's going to be really difficult. But I think keys, I'd love to see kind of Bennett Sturts get rolling a little bit too. But as long as those, some of the role players, which have so far really traveled well and played well on the road, continue to do so, I think it's kind of our first big win here under the McCollum era in Indiana, which I'm excited about.
I agree. I think it's a Bennett Sturts game, if that makes any sense. I feel like, and there's been plenty, but it's been a while since he's been like, wow, that was special. I think he's got a special performance coming up on Saturday. Iowa gets the victory. We'll talk to Bear Cage about it next week sometime as well. Thank you for doing this, my friend. I always appreciate it. Go Hawks. We'll catch up soon.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing too, Matt. I just wanted to give you a note. I know you mentioned previously you prefer me coming on after to break stuff down. So now I know ahead of time I'm not going to come on for any pregame stuff.
No, you can.
Apparently, my presence isn't welcome, which is fine. It's completely fine. But now we know where I stand.
Do you see above it says like off the air with Matt Randazzo? I will change it to off the air with the Bear Cage and Dazzo, and we can do this 5 days a week, my friend. I'm looking for a co-host, so anytime you are welcome on the show. And I'm waiting for, and maybe it's Monday. Maybe we can chat about a victory because we've previewed games and now we've broken down losses. I think it's time to break down a victory or two. So we have plenty of those to do throughout the months of February and March. So be good, my man. We'll catch up soon.
Thanks, Matt.
All right. That is Nicholas Baer right here and Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Breaking down. And yeah, I was cranky last night because I just, and it's watching basketball in general, and I shouldn't get down on referees, but big calls and big moments, and I've never seen a lot like it. And so I know social media was that way. I don't like getting that way, and I don't want to be that guy. And Nicholas is right. Bottom line is probably the Hawkeyes' lack of defense in the second half cost them a basketball game last night. Referees didn't help, that's for sure. We got more to get to coming up after the break. We're going to continue to talk about the college football national championship game with the biggest Indiana fan I know and a damn good meteorologist as well. My good friend James Zahara will join us next right here on OTA. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Here, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Thursday in the Quad Cities. The countdown to the national championship game continues. It's Miami and Indiana coming up on Monday evening down in Miami for national championship. That's right, I didn't stutter. It's Indiana. We're not talking basketball, we're talking football. Playing Miami for a national championship. If you missed yesterday's show, go check it out. Scott Docterman from The Athletic talked a ton of X's and O's and about the game itself. So and that was so much fun to do. But I wanted to not that this guy doesn't know his X's and O's, but when it comes to Hoosier fans that I know, James Zahara is at the top of the list. How are you, my friend? I'm jealous of your backdrop. It's better than mine.
I am down here in man's land. And yes, I have a nice little paraphernalia of Indiana stuff behind me.
Oh, awesome.
A very small section of that, let's put it that way, down here in the basement. And I think it's safe to say we may be adding more to it. I've already received bunch of stuff that needs to go down here in man's land. So very excited season. I still can't believe we're still talking Indiana football here in January.
It's crazy. James, we worked together for, well, as you would say, too long. As I would say, not long enough sometimes. But you were always that Indiana fan. And I remember during basketball season, we talk all the time. And, hey, you might sneak up to the Iowa game when Indiana came to town and all those kind of things. Right. We didn't talk a lot of Indiana football. How crazy has this last 2 – it's like almost when I left WQAD, Indiana got good. Maybe it was me. Maybe I was holding it back. But what's it been like the last couple of years for you?
Well, I mean, there was certainly a buzz going on. I mean, when he introduced himself at one of the Indiana basketball games, you know, he had that real – he had a great attitude, and he also had this kind of Bob Knight kind of, you know, character that really started to catch a lot of people's eyes, including myself. When he says, I win, Google me. Yeah, he has won every single time. And he has come up from incredible organizations. As you probably know, Alabama, and a lot of coordinators have been very successful, but he has really caught the people's attention as far as, how to play the game. He really focuses on discipline, fundamentals. Well, what a coincidence. That was like Bob Knight too.
Yeah.
So there was that buzz. And then, last year it was still the attitude, well, get a good record and hopefully we get a bowl. Keep in mind, that has been the mindset for a lot of Hoosier fans for so many years. So when they kept on winning and winning and winning, we were all, as Indiana fans, of course, very excited. We had the opportunity to get to a real good bowl. We never expected to get to a point where we would actually get to the playoffs itself. I think once he had the opportunity to the team had the opportunity to go to the playoffs, that's when things really begin to change. And people, at least Hoosier fans, started to really believe. Other people outside of the bubble saying, this is just, once in a year, lifetime for this team. They're not going to be good going into next year. We didn't care. We just wanted to get through that year. And sure enough, when we made the playoffs, it was like a roar going all across the country, starting at the state of Indiana that, hey, they got a football team. So it was starting to get very exciting, and then things just blossom after that with a coach who said, okay, fine, I'm going to prove it to you going into the this year. And people started to believe, and people are now saying that this may be the best football team ever in college athletics. And I'm like, wow, whoever thought that this team will get to that position? But of course, the game of football, at least outside of the game, has really changed, as you know.
No, yeah, absolutely. It's and here's the thing, James, and last year was fun and impressive,
Yeah.
and I was one of those people. I was like, is that just like a really everything just went the right way and everything fell in line perfectly, similar to the Bears? We'll get to them in a second. But or was this something sustainable that could happen again? And they're better. They're much better this year than last year. Going in as an Indiana fan, did you believe that this year was going to be great as well? Or were you still kind of wait and see, like maybe myself and others outside Indiana were?
Well, I think a lot of people most people, Indiana fans, was kind of a wait and see, because you knew that you were only going to get a small handful of those veterans back. Those veterans that were actually going to leave. Going through the transfer portal, we were going to start with a new quarterback. No one knew anything about Fernando Mendoza. They might have known a little bit about his brother, Alberto, who everyone thought, okay, he's probably going to be the next quarterback, but no one knew anything about this California transfer. So people were like, this was a great year. We're just not sure what this quarterback is going to do. And then we lost, a few people on the line. We lost a couple of receivers here and there. So, yes, that we were questioning whether we can actually do this again. But, you read some of the articles, you talk to some of the people, and they were like, this team could, when he started bringing in these other people, a lot of 3-4 year players. You knew what he was trying to do. He was trying to bring in some veterans who knew the game of football, and I don't know. It was just a point to where people started to think that, this team could probably be pretty good. And then when we started winning, like once we got to, I think, our 5th win or so, people like, we're going to do it. And then you started hearing all the buzz from other analysts saying, this team is much better, much better. When it comes to the way they play on both sides of the line. So it got very exciting, but we knew that the schedule, this was a thing, was going to be much more difficult than last year, because we had to go to Iowa, we had to go to Oregon. We had to go to Penn State,
Yes.
and the preseason polls were showing how well these teams are going to be. I'm like, I don't know if we're even going to even make the playoffs. So we were just happy that we had a contending team when we were in the first few weeks or so of the season.
Yeah, and I want to talk to you about that Iowa game. It was September 27th, and the reason why I know that is because it was young Charlie Randazzo's 16th birthday, and we took him up to the game, and towards the end of the game, we moved from the press box down to the field, and there's the interception, and Iowa gets it back, and it's tied, and they're gonna kick a field goal to win the game, and we're gonna storm. Like it's happy birthday, Charlie. And they figured out a way. I'm sure you feel horrible. They figure out a way to get it done. And I think Iowa fans use the Indiana loss as almost a badge of honor now, because you look at everything they've gone to do and what they did last week in the semifinals, and Iowa fans are sitting here going, hey, we were the team that came the closest to beating that juggernaut. Your thoughts of that Iowa game, because it was weird that, like, and I'll even go a step further. So often I'd look at schedules and I was up doing the pregame show, and my wife was like, what do you think the Indiana time is going to be? And just like before they were set, I'm like, well, it's going to be 11 a.m. because it's Iowa and Indiana football. It's not like a marquee matchup usually. And all of a sudden I stopped and I was like, wait a minute, like this is going to be a really good game and a really good time. Yeah. And it was. And that was different and weird to get used to, because you think of that. What was the Iowa-Indiana game like for you? I'm sure you were sweating and then smiling, which is a good thing.
Well, I tell you, you and I kind of went back and forth on this before the game itself, if I was going to actually get to the game.
Yes.
And like, now I wish I did. But I tell you this, we knew that was going to be a tough game. Obviously, people don't realize, I mean, if they're not familiar with Iowa football, it is very, very hard to win, okay, at Iowa. No question about that. And to me personally, I think, compared to all the teams we played so far this season, I've never been so nervous about that game. I mean, I thought that was the most difficult game the Hoosiers played all season. And that does include the Big Ten championship game against Ohio State. Okay. Yeah. That game, that Iowa game, was really a good game, a tough game. That was a tough team to play, because they were doing well on the line on both sides. Their special teams were very good. It took one play, as you know, to really change the game. And as Signetti said, really help produce that momentum going into the Oregon game. And once we beat Oregon, everyone was just getting super excited. We're like, this could be the year now that we could possibly even win it all. And that was before playing Penn State. So, yeah.
The Hoosiers rolled last week. What was the game watching experience like for James Zahara? Were you away? Were you by yourself, like in the man cave? Leaving
no. Actually,
were you around other people? It was an easier watch because you blinked. I went up to Sterling for Charlie's game, and we were heading back after the sophomore game a little early, and like we went and looked, and I'm like, it's 24-0 or whatever, 24-7 already. And so it wasn't like a nail biter, but how do you like to watch Indiana Hoosier football?
Well, I mean, most cases I have to be in my own space. I do get a little emotional sometimes, but I don't know, with age right now, I kind of have accepted it. But this time I actually went to a bar with a few people from the station between shows, and no, I didn't do any drinking. I wish I did.
Because I wasn't there.
Yeah, because you were there. Yes, to pay the tab. So, I mean, just watching the game and enjoying that atmosphere. And there were a lot of Indiana fans that were there as well. So it was a real cool experience to see it. And all I can say is, after they were up 21-7, it was starting to become fun.
Yeah.
It was really starting to become fun watching this team. I mean, it was like we still couldn't believe how well this team was playing on both sides of the line. It was just so fun to watch. I mean, the fundamentals, the way that Mendoza was just, I mean, no question, this guy's going to be one heck of a quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
There was even, by the way, a couple of Las Vegas Raiders fans that were actually at this bar.
Probably rooting and happy because that's their guy.
That's our guy, man. That's our franchise quarterback, man.
I love
So
it.
it was a great experience, and hopefully we'll kind of see that as well. I just can't believe that with the latest line that's going on with this game and all this momentum. I mean, it's like destiny. It really is destiny with this team.
It feels like a coronation on Monday, and that's what I want to talk to you about. It feels like everyone expects this to happen, and is there any – and there's got to be. Is there any – I mean, Miami's a good football team. They're at home, which is crazy as well. But if I would have told you to start the playoffs, you're in the national championship game, and it was – the 10 seed Miami, you probably would have said, okay, like that's better than the 3 seed or the whatever it could have been. So take me to Monday night. First off, are you working?
No. I decided no, actually
Good job.
I know.
Good for you. I was gonna yell at you. I was gonna yell at you if you said that you were working.
I know. I had about a good half a dozen people come up to me at the station and say, James, you're not working, are you, on Monday? I mean, come on, you gotta take off and watch this game. And I said, no. I said, no, I am not gonna. I'm not gonna work. I got to have my peace, enjoy this moment going into later on Monday. I mean, I definitely cannot have work distract me from this game. So I'm at a point right now. I'm so excited about this game, but at the same time, I am really nervous. So, as you know, anything can happen. I mean, I think in order for Miami to beat Indiana, they got to stop them at least in one phase of the game. And they may try and do that by they have a great rushing defense, and that could play a big role in the game itself. But then you have to deal with, is Mendoza going to have an off night? I mean, there are a lot of combinations here that can still happen. So when, we get to when it's 0-0 on the score, on the clock, then I'll be, running around the neighborhood, with my banner, and who knows, like last time, maybe the neighbors may call the cops on me again. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
That's because I've had several people come up to me and say, hey, your buddy James is awesome on social media with the Indiana stuff. And I love the way you wear it, and you should wear it. I mean, that's exactly and hold on, let's back up for a second. Let's not act like you work really hard all night at the station. Let's not get carried away. You would still be able to watch the game, but I'm kidding. I'm teasing. So,
no, you're not kidding.
I'm not, no, a little bit. So being the Indiana fan and being well known here in the Quad Cities, have you, and people kind of knew it, but obviously now it's out there very forward. Do people come up and ask you more about Indiana right now or the weather?
Actually it's been a little bit of both lately. It's been mainly weather, of course, but it's it ranks as Indiana, closely to weather, and then about my dogs. Let's put it that way. So, but I'm starting to get more people. Yeah, I've had people come up to me tell me about Indiana. I have a daughter who's actually interested in going into the business school in Indiana. It's a really nice school. Tell me about it. I get little things like in the frozen food section over here in Jewel. I mean, I just had a recent mom come up to me about that. Like, wow, what a day. What a way to start off the day.
You know what I found out yesterday? Scott Docterman told us, and I didn't know this, Indiana has the largest alumni base in the country.
Yes.
Because of all of the
800,000.
That place, I know it's Miami at home against Miami. There's going to be so much red at that stadium. Yeah. And it was weird because even in the quarterfinals when it was Alabama and Indiana, it was just weird because like there's Alabama and like it's that look, that uniform, it's college football that we're used to. And then it was Indiana, and no offense to Indiana. I mean, you understand, it was one of the worst Power 5 programs ever. And there they are kicking the crap out of Alabama. It was really fun to see. Okay, I want to talk to you about a few other things. Because gosh, you're a Bears fan too. I apologize for that, but you're a Bears fan. What are you enjoying? First off, do you have like a rabbit foot or like a horseshoe up your butt or something? Like, why are you so lucky right now? Like, and what I mean, what are you enjoying more, the Hoosiers or the Bears?
There's no hesitation on it. It's the Hoosiers. It's the Hoosiers. I mean, this is, for me, any Hoosier fan out there would say that they would never expect this Indiana football team to win the national championship in their lifetime. So that's kind of been the excitement that's going on here, is them winning it all in football. And who knows if this, depending on what they do with the playoffs or whatever, I mean, you cannot ask for a better chemistry when it comes to this team and the story that has been going on these past 2 years. I mean, it's like I said before, it's destiny. It's so exciting to see. But the Bears are a close second. Let's put it that way, okay? So it's nice. I mean, there was even some stuff on Twitter of some fans who are like, my goodness, I got 2 football teams are in the playoffs or are doing so well. It's like, it's been forever. But, all the teams I've rooted for, me, I mean, I'm a Chicago sports fan. So on the White Sox. But everyone has won some type of world title.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to, Indiana, of course, they won national titles a number of times in basketball, of course, but never in football. I think everyone thinks that their whole circle is going to be complete once they win the national championship in football. By the way, did you know, that this marks 50 years since Indiana won the national championship undefeated in basketball?
No, I had no idea. No kidding.
Yeah, 1976 when they went undefeated, the last team to be undefeated in basketball. So it's kind of weird how all this is coming together.
Ever gone 16-0. Never. No one's ever gone 16-0 in a season. Sunday's Bears game. People are talking to me about frozen tundra, like cold as can be. I don't think there's going to be any snow, but it's a team from LA that plays indoors coming to Chicago. Tell me, weatherman, what's it look like come Sunday at 5:30?
Well, let's put it this way. I really hope can a football team like LA forfeit the game because it's too cold for them? Is there a possibility?
I sure hope not, because I need this national nightmare to go away. I need this Bears nightmare to go away. So let's hope they play. But it's gonna be cold, isn't it?
It's gonna be pretty cold out there. But the fans are still all gonna come out. I mean, we're talking about likely temperatures in the low mid-teens. We're talking wind chills likely around 0. There'll be some fans out there that will just have their shirts off and they don't care.
That's crazy.
They're going against the Rams. They're in the playoffs. So it's definitely going to be Bears weather. No question about that.
I got some goofy questions before we go. Nothing bad. I think last time I made you pick between like Fechner and somebody or Murdy or something. I can't remember. Nothing mean. Which of you enjoyed more? Cubs World Series 2016 Game 7 or this Indiana season?
Oh, that is tough.
Isn't it?
That is really tough. I was more stressed out, and I think you were too. I'm more stressed out with the Cubs.
Oh.
We were just, even your boys were like.
So I had to come back. I was working. I just made fun of you for working. I was working, and I came in, and the rain delay saved us because I brought Charlie back in the station with me, and they blew the lead, and it was tied. And I was like,
because you brought that bottle of champagne.
Yes, and then
you started fixing everyone.
And then that rain delay allowed us to get home. I still to this day tell people all the time. I remember sitting up we got home. They got the rain delay. Cubs won, and like everybody else, I'm sure you as well. I'm like excited, but there's tears in my eyes. Like I'm like emotionally happy, and Charlie's jumping around. He's 7, and he goes, Dad, I've waited my whole life for this. And I said, shut up. Like, your whole life, you're 7. I'm like, Grandpa Guy, we're going to go to Grandpa Guy's grave tomorrow because he never got to see it. Like, we got to enjoy this. So, it was crazy. So it's like picking your own kid. Like, who's your favorite kid? Which is Chase. Mine never watched the show. So mine's Chase. But, like, it's a tough question between the Hoosiers right now. Would you lean Cubs or wait till you see how you feel on Monday?
Because I've had, and that's still very, very tough. It really is. If I had to choose, my heart kind of goes a little bit toward those Hoosiers.
Okay. That's what I've heard.
Just a little bit, but not much. I mean, it's deadlocked because even then, as you know, I mean, no one really thought the Cubs would, win a World Series in our lifetime, but they did it, and here we go again with my Hoosiers. And I think it's just because of, all the people I grew up with and I got to know when I was attending school over there, being in the marching 100, got a chance to march in a lot of those games, even meeting people from other schools, from other bands like at Ohio State and Michigan. I mean, marching in those facilities, you just never forget. Just being part of that entertainment, I think, is a slight difference compared to, let's say, when it comes to the Cubs. I mean, who gets a chance to run onto Wrigley Field? I mean, no one really.
True.
So having the opportunity to be on the field like that and representing the team, and even having the coaches come up to you and chat, it's really was a cool experience. I mean, but keep in mind, back then when I was there, we were all excited about just winning the Oloken bucket against Purdue. That was our bowl. So, make this quick is that, I had a lot of friends I haven't talked to for so long come back to me. And we've just been chatting left and right regarding this game that's these bowl games that have been going on of late, and now with the national championship coming up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, a couple quick ones before I get you out of here. If you had, and I asked athletes that come back to the Quad Cities this, and I figured I'd ask you, what's the place to eat? Like, if the Zaharas, does James Zahara have like a favorite place to go in the Quad Cities to get some food?
Yes.
Are you gonna tell us?
Tony's.
Okay.
Pizza. It's Chicago style pizza. It reminds me of Aurelio's back in Chicago, and I think it has to do with the sauce, but Tony's by far is second to none. That's how I love to go out there. Even my wife loves going out there as well. I mean, that's one of our little date hangouts is going over to Tony's and getting a nice pizza and the atmosphere. It's wonderful.
I love it. If you could have dinner with one person anywhere, alive, dead, you can have one meal with somebody, who would it be and why? Would it be a sports figure? Would it be a Hoosier? Would it be a weather person? Where would you go with it? Not me. Don't waste it on me. We all know the answer is Dazza, but don't waste it on me. Go somebody besides me.
Oh, wow. Well, I would say, I've had this question brought to me a number of times, years ago, and unfortunately he has passed away, but Bob Knight.
Okay.
Bob Knight, I mean, was very inspirational. His mindset was not just having good players and play the fundamentals of the game properly, but he was, a real solid individual, human being, because he really cared about every player getting that degree, graduating from Indiana, because he put school before sports. But if you're able to manage both of them, which he was able to do with these kids, they were going to be very successful after their college careers. And, that really inspired just not only me, but a lot of people as well. I mean, everyone think of Knight, they think of him throwing the chair, angry, needed some anger management, those classes. But no, on the other side, he was just really a super nice guy. And in fact, I got pictures with him and I actually had lunch with him one time, just brief, a long time ago when I was in the pep band. And we were at one of the tournament games, and he came by as I was a little late, as I usually am, because I was finishing up my meal. And he sat down with me and goes, "How's everything with the band?" I'm pretty good. Of course, I don't know if I said that right. I mean, I was like,
that's a cool story. That's awesome. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, that was so it wasn't really much of a sit down conversation, but if I had to do it, I would say definitely with him, making a much longer a conversation.
I'm not one for reading, which I shouldn't say out loud, but I'm not. I just but I read sports books, and I've read What a Night. It's about Bobby Knight, and it's an amazing read. It's that and Cat in the Hat are basically the two books that I got through. But it was a really good read. Okay, last one. I know you're a golfer and a good golfer. Now we won't go Quad Cities. We'll go viewing area, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
What's the course? If I said, "Hey James, we get to go golfing, pick anywhere you want to go in our viewing area," where would it be? What's your course?
I mean, as you know, there are a lot of great golf courses around here. They really are for all types of levels and such. For me, I mean, I love Fire Lake out there in Shore.
Yeah.
Love Fire Lake because, this gives you an opportunity to play position golf. And you can play position golf, meaning, placing the ball in the right location and then, try to finish the hole that way. To me, that's fun. I love playing position golf.
Yeah. I just want to get it in the fairway, James. Position. Are you kidding me? I don't care if it's in the left side of the fairway, the right side of the fairway. If it's in the fairway, I don't care if it's in the rough. As long as I can find it, I feel like it's a victory sometimes. So, hey, buddy, I appreciate you doing this.
Trees or bushes around. Yeah, I mean, it's a good shot because you have an open shot.
You can kick it away from those bushes. Come on. That's why I gave you a foot. I appreciate it. Hey, enjoy Monday. Go get a championship. I might bug you next week. I want a bunch of red stuff on here. I may bug you next week as well, but I appreciate you. Be well. Go back to bed. I don't know exactly if that's what you other guys still do, but get out of here.
Take the dog out for a walk right after this.
I love it. Jay-Z, I appreciate you. We'll catch up soon.
Take care, my friend.
All right. That is James Zahara joining us here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, of course, one of my favorite people. And the beauty part with Jay-Z is what you see is what you get. People have asked me so many times over the years, is James really that fun? Is James really that goofy? Yeah, he is. And it's awesome. So we got much more to get to. You're watching OTA on a Thursday right here in the Quad Cities. We'll be right back.
Give me the keys. Learning to drive can be stressful for both the student and, yes, the parent as well. Relax. There's an easy way to avoid the stress. Skiles Driving School in East Moline has been helping new drivers hit the road with confidence for over 20 years. Whether you're a teen earning your first license or an adult looking for behind-the-wheel training, we've got you covered. Their certified instructors are patient, experienced, and use modern vehicles equipped for safety and comfort. From classroom instruction to real-world driving, we make learning safe, affordable, and even fun. Call 309-278-0098 or visit skylesdriving.com. Skiles Driving School. Get in, buckle up, drive your future forward.
Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Thursday in the Quad Cities. It's been a great time for high school basketball. January nearly halfway over. The games are getting bigger and better, and we're halfway through the season in the MAC, and it's once again a familiar name at the top of the conference standings for the ladies, as Central DeWitt has made it halfway through the season, undefeated in MAC play, despite Ron O'Brien being the head coach still. They're still letting you do that up there?
They are. They haven't chased me out yet, and the girls have learned not to listen, so they're learning well.
My kids know that skill very well, so I know what you're talking about. First off, congratulations on the great start. What is it about this team before we get into more specifics? But from the big picture, what do you like about this year's Sabres team?
I like our depth. We've got 5 seniors, and so they've been in the program for the 4 years I've been there, and it's as deep as we've been. So we're rotating 9 players, and the early part of the season was learning to play without Lauren Walker, school's all-time leading scorer, and we didn't know how that rotation was going to look and who's going to fill those points, and we knew it would probably be by committee, and we've done that, and then with Ava Putman just kind of taken off this year, is kind of filling that role too, as that player. It's just kind of coming together right now.
You mentioned Lauren Walker. She was so good last year, and you guys quietly went under the radar for a little while. Like, hey, Central DeWitt's a nice story, and ended up doing great things. This year's a little different. I think people, and I know Lauren left, and people realized he had to replace, but there was a ton of talent coming back from last year's team. Has this year's team been different when it came to expectations? Because you're not surprising anybody, I don't think, this season when it came to what you guys can do with the basketball court.
Yeah, I don't think we surprised anybody. I think we were voted to win the conference, which is always nice, but as a coach you don't know where that's going to go and how you're going to respond, and really we really had no idea who would start, other than 2 starters from the previous season, who's going to fill those roles. And so it's coming together. It culminated on Tuesday night against Bettendorf to finish up that half. I think it really showed defensively how we can play, holding them to 27 points is real a team effort to focus on a player like Olivia McCorkle. So they're accepting their roles, and we're taking a bunch of girls that play, which I love out in DeWitt, multiple sports. So we get them for a 3-month period out of the year. And so there's learning going on. A lot of stuff we do, a lot of teams can do in the summer, we're doing now because they're playing softball, and they're playing soccer, and they're playing all these other sports and volleyball. And so it takes us a little while, but I think we've picked it up quicker than I thought we would, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. I want to talk about Bettendorf on Tuesday night because in the standings, and now there's a 2-game lead between Bettendorf and Central DeWitt. You look at Pleasant Valley, I think they're at 7-2 as well. To get a victory, and I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that game was at home. But a lot of the work you guys have done this season has been on the road. Kind of talk about the first half of the season, because the MAC, once again, is a dogfight every night, and there's really good teams each and every night, and a lot of those marquee games have been on the road. What have you liked about your team, especially going on the road in some rough environments and getting victories?
Yeah, you never know how you're going to respond. It's get comfortable at home. I think it helped. We played Saturday night on the road, even at in the shootout with a great team with Rock Island, and it's great to have those games and be tested. You're not always tested, and as coaches, as we all do, how do we handle adversity, and how do we handle the other team's runs? Rocky and Bettendorf both got up in the third quarter on us, and we had foul trouble both games. Both teams good defensively. How do we respond to that? And fortunately, we handled both situations. Came back in the fourth quarter, turned those runs around into runs that we had, and finished with victory. So it's always just good to be tested. It's the shootout, Gary Thrapp, all that. What a fantastic event! It gives you kind of a state atmosphere, which really needed. Road, college court. Had we not had that game on Saturday, I don't know how we would have responded Tuesday against Bettendorf.
Sure. Ron O'Brien joining me right now on Off Day with Matt Randazzo. You mentioned the shootout. Love the event. Gary does a great job with it. It kind of celebrates girls basketball in our area. But along with it, and my friend Joey Danya, I believe, did this story on KWQC. Girls basketball, like the numbers have been down. I've talked to Paul Rucker this year, several other coaches on both sides of the river, and I was kind of surprised by it. Jay Hatch was on, and their numbers, I think he said, was pretty good, but he's seeing it. How the numbers, which is surprising to me because you look at the Caitlin Clarks and the WNBA and the success that's happening at the bigger levels, you would just assume it trickled down. Your thoughts on where you guys are at, maybe specifically at Central DeWitt. You talked about depth and there's a lot of quality, and then just the sport in general, because it is kind of surprising that it's down 30%, I think, across the board right now.
Yeah, it is. It's I think the NFHS at the beginning of the year sent out a story on girls basketball nationwide down 33%, and we definitely see that. While we have good depth on our varsity roster, and that's just depth and 9 players that we can feel comfortable playing, we're at 21 girls top to bottom. We've only got 3 teams in our league that can hold 3 levels of play of basketball.
Wow.
And that's playing, girls in multiple games in what we call JV2 and JV1. The state had to hold up our classifications of where we would play in 1 through 5A at the beginning of the year, just to see how many teams were going to field varsity teams in the state of Iowa, where Caitlin Clark obviously is from. So it's trending down. And it's not a good thing. Every coach is scared, we're nervous, we're sad, we're scrambling to push things at the younger level to encourage kids to play, and it's going to face a lot of challenges over the next few years.
Is there a reason or reasons, or what's the thought process behind? I know you can get into different, obviously, my biggest thing that and I don't know if it's with this, but I get frustrated with the specialization of sports where
Absolutely.
And I go back to covering the Don Morris Awards over here in the Western Big Six for so many years, and it was a 3-sport athlete, and out of this to the point where it's like, I think you only have to be a 2-sport athlete because there aren't any 3-sport athletes anymore. What are the reasons? If there's several, why are numbers down for girls basketball?
Well, it's what you said, specialization, but I call it commercialization, because youth sports is big business now. So everybody's playing, and you can play every sport year round, as you said, specialization. So now even baseball, softball, they're playing indoor all winter.
Yeah.
And so it's really taking advantage of people thinking their kid's going to be the next big thing. And you see the few kids that have success and they're going on and assuming they're going to get a scholarship and or told not to play another sport because you need to focus on the one sport with that ultimate goal of receiving a scholarship. And what's funny is, especially, all the other sports out there, if you're just talking scholarships, basketball and football and volleyball were the only ones that really offer full scholarships. So you see all the kids that were playing all this baseball, and they're going to play baseball, and they're going to go to Iowa and play, and they can't even offer. You got 11 scholarships to divide up. Yeah. There's this myth. And now you talk NIL, so all that exposure of NIL money, everybody's going to assume that their kid's next kid going to make $1 million playing a sport. So the driving of these tournaments and so now we're going to focus in on that. And just the fact there's so many sports to play. And, on the girls' side of things, the fastest rising sport's flag football. That's an Olympic sport, this next one. And there's probably half the states in the country have a state-sanctioned flag football. So I would tell you right now, Illinois and Iowa will be the next states that will be a high school sanctioned sport, which is great. And a lot of girls are going to love playing it, but where are they going to put it? And that's just going to draw more girls into another sport. And a school like the size of DeWitt, where you've got lower numbers and everybody's asking all the kids to play different sports, and I think they should all play different sports. You can't go around, and then you've got the AAU coaches, as we call them, ask them, they got to come to this and you got to go to that, and it's in season. And really, to not to nag on it, but the basketball coach, basketball's hard. especially on the girls' side. You've got to do so many different things, and there's contact and the one word, the R word. I get that response from a lot of girls that aren't playing. I don't want to run. There's a little bit of that now in society and kids these days, and it's a physical sport and multiple positions. So there's a challenge to playing basketball that there isn't in some other sports as well. So I could talk about that for days. It's a serious issue that needs to be addressed nationwide with the sport, because I don't know where it's trending bad and it's trending down. So
I tell people all the time, and I covered sports in the Quad Cities for 25 years. I guess what I'm doing is continuing to do that. Who knows? People would think differently. But anyways, covering it for 25 years, baseball-wise, there's 3 baseball players that made the pros that I've ever covered. Yeah. Cody Sedlock, Dakota Backus, and Jacob Junis. And that's it. But then I watch every youth baseball tournament I go to because I got 4 kids, and everyone's thinking, well, my kid's going to be doing this and playing in the majors. That I remember, my son was young, my oldest was young, and I covered in a signing over at Alleman. And a parent said to me, like, hey, I saw you covered the Alleman signing yesterday. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, how fun is that going to be when you do that someday? And it's Charlie and this person and that person. And she just naming off kids. I'm like, and I started chuckling a little bit. And they're like, she's like, what's so funny? I'm like, I'm not laughing at you, but do you know how hard it is to play college sports? Like it real. I'm like, and do you know how hard it is to play high school sports? Ron, I don't want to sound like that guy, but I would go on during Fridays to different high schools for to do the show, and I would watch, and like we'd be at the field, and kids would come out, and I won't say the high school because I think it's every high school, and the kids started walking around the track, and I said to the coach, I said, well, what is this? It's like 10 a.m. This is PE. What do you mean it's PE? And they're like, well, that's what we do. Like we can't make them run and do that kind of stuff. So they just got to come outside and walk. Because
they have PE class anymore. And you know what's funny? I always wanted to have you guys look at all those signings every year and put that picture up of all those kids and ask how many are actually playing 2 years later, still playing that sport.
Yeah. No.
And what they also don't realize is of all those kids, there could be 10, 12, 15, 8. The bulk of them are still paying for college wherever they're going. And they don't understand. The parents also don't understand every level. I don't care whether you go high school straight to Blackhawk and play. That's a huge step. You go over to Augustana and pay to play basketball. That's a giant step. That basketball is so good there, but they don't. I would take my son's teams there as youth, and we'd go to an Augie game every year, and we'd sit right up front. We'd go watch how hard these guys are playing and how good they are. And you don't get it just because they're not at Iowa.
Yeah,
these guys are the best of their high schools, and they're paying to go to school there. No, it's Division III.
Sure.
And the baseball kids, you don't go to how many kids in the area we've seen gone on to play baseball at Iowa, and again, because of NCAA rules, not everybody there's on a scholarship.
Yeah.
I can name a couple kids that went to school there that play that were really good, and they get a portion of a scholarship to play a sport that's not, basketball or football. So it's and they're starting at such a young age now. I see it now with these first graders and second graders are in tournaments, and they're and paying thousands of dollars for these travel teams, and if you rack it all up at the end, the cost that you've saved in
Ron,
traveling
you're
across
making me
country.
feel bad because I got 4 boys, and I think sometimes it's like there's a dumpster outside that's lit on fire, and we're just throwing money into it. It's like if we stop doing that, we just put it in a bank account, and it's fun. And they learn, like, again, we're not being like the old cranky guys, because there's a ton to it. And like I tell my kids all the time, like the sports set up life lessons and learning lessons for the rest of life. When it comes to getting along, teamwork, effort, like, putting your heart into something and watch results, like those, it's all great. We're not being that cranky, but you're right. Like the reality sometimes kind of escapes. I want to go back to basketball for a few more, and then we'll let you go. I know you got a very busy schedule there at Palmer College. I know the lady that's the CFO there, she just works people like a dog. Like, it's awful.
She does
it's
that.
awful. So it's a good thing she's beautiful, but it's awful. So that's my wife. When we, you mentioned Lauren Walker last year and a fantastic season and doing it now at a different level. Ava Putnam has been that next person to step up. And it's always like you look up at Central DeWitt and there's always that next really good athlete, really good standout. What has she been like this year on the court, and then obviously maybe off the court as well when it comes to taking more of a leadership role as well?
Yeah, that's a huge jump. I think she saw that. We saw that after her. She had a huge summer on the circuit and had a lot of good offers, but didn't really know where she would go as a leader. But she stayed. She was kind of in the shadows of Lauren for 3 years on that, and she was just kind of quietly playing, and she was a co-captain. But just the growth and leadership, maybe that's just maturity, and her game, the confidence in both, that's just took off this year, and she's really filled that role. She's arguably, in my opinion, the best player in the conference and one of the best in the areas, and she's averaging 24 points a game. We had to fill that gap between Lauren's 25 points, and not only that, Lauren was huge on the boards, and she averaged 5 rebounds a game, and that first game this year, Ava had 23 points, 24 points, and I think 1 rebound. I said, that's not going to get it done. And as I always tell the kids, man, go rebound, offensive rebounds, be selfish. There's 6 or 8 points a game there if you just go get the ball on an offensive rebound. Lauren was great at that, and she's at 5.5 rebounds a game now. She figured that out. She got a little selfish, but we need that. We need her points in every game, and it's just not that. She's just been a vocal. Never had a kid, even a little higher motor than Lauren. She everything Ava does is at 125%. We could be in a shooting drill and she's knocking people over. It's insane, especially her sister. People get out of the way of her. She's just got that motor, and so she leads by kind of that example. But now she's a vocal leader too. And when we're a much better team when she's playing better and when she's calm and collective on the court.
Ron, before I let you go, you mentioned, and we talked a little bit about last year, and I know it's a new team, but a lot of these girls had that experience and had the MAC championship and the run in the postseason and the trip to state and all those kind of things. Can you see that can you see it helping this year? These ladies, you went to Pleasant Valley and won. You've gone on the road and won in tough spots, and not saying that's always going to happen, but that's got to bode well. This is an experienced team that's played a lot of basketball together and a lot of important games together.
It is, yeah. The difference is last year we didn't expect it, so after every win, it was kind of like, wow, I think we're pretty good. They're like, this is great. And, Kim Mulkey in the stands and beat North last year, and we walked in that locker room and like, what the heck just happened? This year, it's more of, I think our expectations are to win every night. Now I got to manage how they don't overlook that. We can't overlook anybody and take it one game at a time. And just hopefully keep the grind going and stay focused.
Davenport West coming up on Friday night. And do you remind these girls too that like each night, the season goes fast, and for some of these seniors, you got to take advantage of every single trip out because, the season does go by in a blink of an eye.
It's a blur now, especially when you get back from Christmas. It just goes by. We want them, again, 5 seniors, enjoy the experience. It's high school sports. That's the emphasis. It's just having fun, being with your teammates, like you said. That's just what sports is, and enjoy this time, because this last month and a half is going to go by and bam, it's done. And hopefully you had a great experience, and we've had success, and we did it all together in the right way, and that's what it's about.
Ron, I promise I'm going to let you go, but that made me trigger something. Do you like taking the time off over Christmas? I'm not gonna lie, I don't like it. I think it drives me crazy. There's no other sport that right in the middle of the sport says, hey, let's not do anything for 2 weeks. Can you believe? No. Do you do the scrimmages? And if you do the scrimmages, then make it real. Make it. It does not.
That's a great point, because we just felt like we beat PV. We just got on a roll. We're starting to, in a season where we got to figure that out, and then bam, the door shuts. Don't do anything. And then, but we go to Johnston. We go up to Des Moines. We spend the night. We had a pickleball tournament the night before, and we had a hotel. We team dinner, and we played 5 really top teams in the state at Johnston High School in scrimmages. But a 20-minute running clock, 4 games in a row and rolling subs. It's like hockey. We're just throwing people. It's not the same as a game. So we're almost starting over, it feels like, when we get back after that. So we can go do that all break, but we can't play a game. It just doesn't.
If you're going to go to Johnston in the middle of the season and stay overnight, make the games count. And I would say this. I think the Illinois side probably does too much. I think my son had 6, 7, and I didn't mean that for the stupid 6-7 thing. So 6 or 8 games over the break. Yeah. And maybe that's a lot. And then the Iowa side has none. Like, there's a happy median, like where have a couple, 2 or 3. Take some time off to spend with him. All right, I didn't mean to hijack the thing.
I agree. I'm sorry. Yeah, we're on board. I appreciate that.
All right, I love it. Ron, get back to work. I know it's a hard day there at Palmer. Good luck. Good luck.
I don't know if anybody's watching. I'm looking.
Speaking of pickleball, don't you got some pickleball to go do? Usually when I'm 11:30.
11:30. I got a little time. I won't clean the courts off.
I love it. We'll talk to you soon, Ron. Be good.
All right, appreciate it. Take care. Right.
That is Ron O'Brien from Central DeWitt joining us, talking about the Sabers, undefeated on the season, and then some other things as well. It is troubling that girls basketball numbers are down to what they are, and especially when the WNBA and college basketball and everything is thriving. So great conversation with Ron O'Brien. We got more to get to. You're watching Off There with Matt Randazzo right here on a Thursday. I don't think I've gotten the day right in any throw to break all week long. So might as well continue. We'll be back on OTA right after this.
Hello, Dan Pearson here of FCA. Our team is thrilled to support Off the Air with our good friend Matt Randazzo. We share the view of the power of sport when it comes to relationships, including the influence of the coach. FCA believes the coach is the most influential person in America. Matt celebrates local coaches and athletes. His content is informational, insightful, and inspirational. Our Fellowship of Christian Athlete team loves partnering with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo while we engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes in our 23 counties. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
View from the West, the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
View from the West. We got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad City's best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up your chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8197 and find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves. Welcome back to Off Day with Matt Randazzo here on a Thursday, January 15th. Thank you guys so much for joining us. It's been a fun show so far here on the day before. Two days left in the work week. I think we can get through it. In fact, one day for yours truly, because I'm about ready to wrap things up. But we have a great show coming tomorrow. We'll talk to you about that in just a moment. I do want to mention that it looks like the John Harbaugh thing is done, which should surprise no one. So and there's 9 openings. There were 9 openings in the NFL. So 30% of the NFL, or whatever it is, looking for a new head coach. So one of those teams are not the Bears. They were last year at this time, not anymore. The NFL schedule this weekend, it should be a really good one. Of course, the Bears are hosting the Rams. It's a 5:30 start. Opened at a 4.5 point line, now down to 3.5, which I do find a bit interesting. I do think it's a little public influence, if that makes any sense. I think the people are wrapped up in what happened last week and maybe jumped on that maybe a little early for the Bears. But I do think if you're going to do it, do moneyline Bears. We'll have an official prediction on that game coming up tomorrow. I'll give you my prediction, not that you guys care. But the playoff schedule, Buffalo is at Denver. That's a 3:30 kick on Saturday afternoon. Denver, I believe, is a 1.5 point favorite. San Francisco and Seattle, 7 o'clock at night on Saturday night. Seattle, last I saw, was a 7.5 point favorite. I'm going to go ahead and pull my fancy little app up, one of the apps. Denver, 1.5. Seattle is a 7 point favorite. Of course, terrible news about George Kittle tearing his Achilles last week, so he's going to be out the rest of the way here, but then also that'll take a chunk of next year away from him as well, so that's tough to hear. On Sunday, it is the Patriots and Texans. New England is a 3 point favorite. Defense is really good in that game. And then 3.5 right now. Rams and Bears. Soldier Field, 5:30 on Sunday. Basketball this weekend, I think it's Illinois hosting Minnesota. We mentioned Iowa goes to Indiana, so some big games there. Iowa State on the road at Cincinnati. Coming up tonight, the Iowa women will host Oregon. Iowa still 5-0 in the season, looking to stay perfect in the Big Ten. On Sunday, they welcome Michigan State to town. I think that's the tougher of the two, but first things first, Oregon, a good basketball team. 14-4 in the season. That's tonight at Carver Hawkeye. Coming up tomorrow on the show, we're going to be joined by Vincent Johnson. He published a book, Illustrious, kind of celebrating the best high school basketball gyms, including Wharton Fieldhouse. And it's been a lot of fun to look at and read and all of those kind of things. He's going to be at Wharton tomorrow night. It's Quincy and Moline at Wharton tomorrow. He's going to join us on the show tomorrow to talk all about that and the gyms and the histories of them here in the state of Illinois, especially Wharton Fieldhouse being one of them. So looking forward to that. We'll also preview the big Penn State, Iowa wrestling team duel this weekend. Number 1 versus number 4, although I think it's like a 25-point line. Penn State is just so good. So we'll talk a little wrestling tomorrow as well, and much more as we get you ready for the weekend. Your Bears pick. We'll be picking Bears stuff all day. We might do a little contest with the Bears game. We'll figure that out. Maybe give something away, have some fun tomorrow on the show as well. As for today's show, we want to thank, Nicholas Baer for joining us, kind of recapping the Purdue-Iowa game, looking ahead to Indiana, also letting me complain about the referees. James Zahara, that was so much fun for me to see a good friend of mine, chat with a good friend of mine, someone I spent a lot of time with, James Zahara. He's a Hoosier fan, and so we talked Indiana football, got some weather for what's going to happen Sunday in Soldier Field when it comes to the weather there, and a bunch more with James. So go check that out. And then, of course, we talked about the first place Central DeWitt Sabers with their head coach, Ron O'Brien. They're halfway through the season in the MAC, and the Sabers are playing some really, really good basketball, despite their head coach. And Ron even admitted that they don't listen to him too much as well, and that's a good thing for sure. So want to thank everybody for watching. However you watch the show, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, tell a friend or two about what we're doing each and every day in the Quad Cities. I had somebody say to me the other day, I'd love to subscribe, but like money's tight. And I said, no, like subscriptions are free. We just got to click the subscribe button. What that does for you is wherever you are out and about, like on your phone, at home, if you're watching YouTube, it'll alert you that the show is about ready to start. So go ahead and subscribe to the show. Follow us on X at Matt Randazzo. Of course, all the podcasting platforms as well. And then our fantastic viewers in Central Iowa that check us out every evening at 7 p.m. on WHO, plus their streaming app up in Des Moines as well. So thank you guys so much. Thank you to our sponsors who allow us to do this goofy little show each and every day. And we'll be back doing another one of these. One more for the week, a full week. I think it's been I did a full week last week. I was going to say it's been my first full week of the year, but we did a full week last week. So anyways, it's been a fun week. That's for sure. We'll wrap things up tomorrow. We'll see you guys then.